What's goody team? Welcome to today's isolation session for February 10th, 2026. Hope everyone had a great day so far. Hope everyone has had a great trading week so far. For me personally, just been taking it slow, not gonna lie. Yesterday's session was really fucking good, and I'm really pissed. And I'm talking about really pissed that that file corrupted. It was a good session. It was about 45 minutes and it was just so much information. And when I saw that the file corrupted, I'm like, there's no way that I'll be able to re-record exactly what I said, because everything that I was saying was, you guys know me, I like going on rants, and whenever I start speaking, especially when I'm speaking about trading, there this whole flow just comes out. Like you just can't repeat, you just can't mimic. That's the word I'm looking for. You just can't mimic it again. So I'm really upset that that video was corrupt. Um, but that's okay, right? Again, everything that I've said, and I even said it yesterday while doing the recording, it's not anything that we haven't talked about before, but it's good to hear the same information over and over and over and over again, especially when it's information that you need, especially when it's information that you're going to use every single day, right? And again, something that we always say, something that I always say, something that has been said to me from the beginning of time when I first started trading, the information that you're going to learn, especially in these sessions, right? Especially in these sessions, it's information that you're going to use every single day when you're trading, right? If the information that we're teaching you, if you don't know it like the back of your hand, right? Or if you don't know it the same way that if I go and I ask you what's your name, you're going to be able to tell me your first name, your last name very quick without any hesitation. If I ask you a question that's trading related and you can't answer that question at that rate of speed and you have to stop and you have to think and you have to go back into your notes, that means you don't know the information yet, right? The information isn't stamped in your head, it's not tattooed into your brain. So when it comes to trading, there's so much information that you're going to need to know. And it's information that you use every single day. Opposed to when you go to school, the first semester, your teacher's going to be teaching you something about this test. And then the second semester, you forget all about what you did in the first semester. And then you just go and focus on whatever comes next. And then the third semester, same thing. You forget about what you did in the first and second semester to just focus on what you did on the third semester. Trading isn't like that, right? The information that you learn in trading that you start learning as a rookie trader is the information that you're going to use when you are now profitable, right? All the information that you learn in trading is you're going to need it every single day. So that's pretty much, that was what yesterday's session was about, was to really allow you guys to understand that all the information you're going to learn, you're going to need it. So, what's good, Kendall? Welcome back, kid. Let's get to it. Let's do it. I wanted to give everybody I was going to start at the 10-minute mark on the stream, but I'll give everybody 2 minutes instead of 5 minutes. And then we'll get started. Should be a pretty quick session, to be honest. There's not a lot to really talk about, you know what I mean? Like AU, we just consolidated today. We're still sitting at the highs, right? ACAD gave us a nice little push to the bottom side, nice little shoulder head shoulder. We got a nice little break of that, so that's good, right at the highs. Just to go through each pair one by one, right? EA is still just consolidating, ECAD is still just consolidating, EU just consolidated today. GA still sitting at these lows. GCAD still sitting at the lows. GJ gave us a crazy push today. It did double of ADR. As soon as the markets open, just fucking tanked all day. GU gave us a little pullback back down to the bottom. NZD USD just consolidating. US 30 gave us the same entry as yesterday. Let's see what else. Gold has just been consolidating, very similar to that other pair. Gave us a little shoulder head shoulder. So we'll be patient. Bitcoin, the last 4 days, we've just been moving sideways in this area. So oil, same thing, just been consolidating for the last week. And then silver, similar to gold, just consolidating. So Today's session is going to be really, really quick. You know, the first pair of the day, AU, you already know. I'll go through it top to bottom analysis. Um, we'll talk about the market maker's pattern again, just get everybody situated. Aside from that, you know, all these other pairs, we're just gonna update the 30-minute time frame. For me too, I will say this. Um, my bad. What were the notes you talked about in the corrupted recording? There was a lot, bro. There was a lot. Like I was just talking about it. Like the one thing that I talked about, and I spent like 5-10 minutes talking about it was, you know, the whole thing with, you know, trading isn't something where you're gonna learn information and it's just something that you have to know for right now and you forget about it and go to the next thing. Right? In trading, all the information that you're taught, you're going to need it every single day. So that was pretty much like one of my main topic points, but there was a few other pairs that I spoke about that, you know, it was just there was a good information. It was good information on a lot of the pairs that we talked about, but pretty much like what I said when I first turned the stream on today, it's nothing that we haven't talked about before, so it's not like it's not information that we've never talked about, you know what I mean? But you know, it's good to hear the same thing over and over again because you never know. Something that I said 2 weeks ago, maybe at that time it didn't really click, and then you heard me talk about it today, and then it clicks today. But it's like, why didn't it click last week when we talked about it? But it did today, so that was pretty much what it is. It's nothing. It was nothing crazy, but it's still it would have been a really good session to have up. It would have been a really good session to have recorded and posted on the YouTube page. I'm not gonna lie, but but yeah, it's all good. You know, again, today's session is gonna be quick. Pretty much like AU is gonna be the only pair that I'm gonna break down top to bottom. And what I was gonna say too, I was thinking maybe these next 2 weeks up until I get back home, I might be a little off the charts. But today's the 10th, yeah. So pretty much the rest of this week and all of next week, I'll probably be a little AFK from the charts. Um, just take some time off, just little mental days, get myself right before I get back home and really lock in. Um, but man, yeah, I was saying this shit yesterday. I'm like, yo, I gotta get back home already, man. Um, I'm I'm already at that point here where you know when you get out of your environment, bro. That's really all that. When you get out of your environment and you're just like, all right, bro, like I'm ready to get the fuck up out of here. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And I started feeling it yesterday, and I like this morning, bro. I woke up with such a fat ass headache. I was like, oh man, it's all good. Woke up at 4:30. I meditated. Head was fucking killing me. And then I like 9 in the morning, I was looking at the charts, I was chilling, but then like 9 in the morning, I just got like this wave of like, yo, I gotta just lay down for a little bit. Ended up taking a fucking 3 hour nap, bro. I fell asleep at like 9:15 ish. I woke up at 12, and I was just like, yo, I'm over it. I did too today, probably because I ate too late last night. See, I didn't even eat yesterday. That was my problem. I didn't eat at all yesterday, so then I felt it this morning. Like I woke up and I was like, oh man, I gotta lock in. But again, I already know. Like for me, whenever I get like this is mainly usually happens when I'm out of my environment, bro. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm ready to get back home, man. I'm ready to get back on the grind. Not that I haven't been grinding here, but it's different. Different environment, different people around you, different energies. And that's my I'm a person of energy. Right? That's why I always say it like make sure you surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Um you know, and even if they're not like-minded individuals, you know, you don't always have to be around people who think the same as you, but at least keep the people around you that crave and show the same energy as you. Right? You can't be around people, you know, you just give an example, you can't be the person giving 100% and then you're around people who only give 2%, 5%, 10%. You know, your energy just gets drained. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Um and it's all good. That's the thing with life. Sometimes you gotta, even when you reconnect with different people, right? You try to reconnect with somebody, and it's just you shouldn't. Just keep that shit out, man. Keep it over there. That shit is draining. That shit's fucking draining, brother. But it's all good. We keep it pushing, bro. I'll be back home soon. We'll see how it is. But like I said, these next couple days, again, pretty much this week and next week, what I'll most likely, if I'm not doing the live trading sessions, I'll probably 100% still do the isolation sessions. They might be like it is today and yesterday, where I just start a little bit earlier, or it might be where I start a little bit later, or sometimes it might just be I'll record it and I'll have it uploaded for you guys. Whatever the case is, I'll try to at least still just do the isolation sessions. That way my charts are also updated, but you guys also have something to look at. But also the reason why I'm doing this, I'm taking advantage of how the market's moving and where we're at with a lot of pairs. Again, the facts that we're in peak high territories, or the facts that we're just counter trending, or the fact that even on the 30 minutes some pairs are just sideways movement. I'm doing my due diligence and using that as an advantage to be like, yo, either way, I don't trade in these areas until we get the moves. So I'm really not missing out on a lot of pairs. I'm not missing out on any real trades at this point. So, and not to wear myself out, man. That's the thing with being a trader too, especially when trading is the only thing you do. Or at least it's something that takes up most of your day. You get drained very quick. That fire gets you get burnt out. That's really the word I'm looking for. You get burnt out really, really quick. So, that was something that I dealt with last year, and I just kept pushing through it. But sometimes you got to take a few days, few mental days to just clear the mind, get yourself back into form, and then come back. So that's what I'm gonna be doing, man. Going back to the past years never end up how we have in our head. Nah, but life will teach you certain things. Especially in that kind of conversation and that topic. You kind of you draw up in your head what you want to happen. But for me personally, I've life has taught me a lot. And one of the key things that I've learned is, yeah, you could have an idea, or you could have this illusion of how you want things to end up, but you also need to have the other side, right? Like, what if it doesn't work out? And a lot of people will tell you like, oh, that's such a negative way of thinking, like you can't be negative. And it's like, nah, like I'm not being negative, right? Me being negative is me shutting the idea out completely and not doing it, right? Opposed to saying, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do my best. At least at the end of the day, I'll be happy with the decisions that I made. But I also understand the other side. Like, okay, what if it doesn't work out? And that's something that I've always been just a positive. Like, nah, it's gonna work out. And to use my example, I've done so much from the age of 15 years old is when I really started doing my own things. Even before 15, like I was 11 years old when I first started competing in gaming. So it's like at the age of 11, 12 years old, I always had the positive mindset of only thinking about the positives. But then when things don't work out, that's when it starts hitting like, fuck, this didn't work out. And there's a lot of people who, they can't accept that. And it's very difficult to be like, damn, like I really, this didn't go my way how I planned it to. And, I've taken a lot of hits in my life. With a lot of things that I've been able to accomplish, I haven't accomplished everything that I've set out to do, but being at peace with the outcome of things is really something that I've been able to do because I always see both sides. And it's always like, okay, it's just like trading. If this, then that. If that, then this. It's cool. Like, I decided to do this, right? I decided to take a step back and, you know, go back to the past and revisit something. And it's like, all right, cool. If it works out, then perfect. But if it doesn't work out, you also gotta kind of visualize how that looks. And you gotta battle with, my decision making always comes with, if I feel like I can't move on with what will happen if the negatives start to happen, then that's what's going to make my decision on whether or not I decide to revisit something or make a decision. It doesn't matter if it's revisiting something or someone, just in general, right? If I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, in business, whatever. If I have to make a decision and I can't come to terms with the negatives that come with what if it doesn't work out, then I take a step back and I don't even talk about that topic until I'm ready to be like, all right, I'm ready to be able to handle the negatives when they come through. So I don't know. It's just a different point of view, right? And that comes with, not to sound old or anything, but that comes with time and wisdom and experience. Really, that's really what it is different experiences for everybody. So again, that's something that 2026 has taught me that already. We're 2 months into the year, and there's been a whole bunch of shit already in 2026 that I'm like, wow, what a fucking way to start the year. So, and a lot of people, again, I say that, you know, looking both ways, right? Meaning, I'm glad that I'm going through it, but I'm also very pissed off that I'm the one that has to go through it. You know what I mean? I'm a little salty about it, but at the end of the day, I am a believer that everything happens for a reason. I am a believer that long story short, what's meant to be yours is going to be yours, and if something is not meant to be yours, there's a reason for that. So that's another reason why I keep myself motivated, and just don't allow shit to really mess you up to the point where you can't wake up in the morning or you can't get shit done, right? That's why it's always important. It's been this year alone, right? Because last year I did it, year before that, but like this year I really didn't focus on what my goals are for the year. I'm more focused on what are my goals for this week or for this month, because I'm not doing nothing too crazy to be talking about it in weeks, but mainly in months, right? Like, what's my goal for this month? What do I need to focus on? All right, let's go and do that. So, even outside of the little things that you can't really control in life, I try to, this year, I'm trying very hard to at least have monthly goals and things that I want to accomplish and things that I want to be able to start doing, etc., etc. So, I gave everybody a few minutes to join, man. I know we started early today, but we've been talking a lot. That's definitely the way things show, but being able to look at both sides, yeah, yeah, man. So I'm glad, that's something that I've been working on for the last like 2, 3, 4 years, maybe. What year are we in? 2026, so like maybe since 2022, 2023. I've been I've been really good at just, again, I've always been one to only think about the positives, because that's what, growing up, and especially in the media times of when being positive and meditating and all this other stuff, people will tell you like, yo, just think of the positives. So I was always that type of person to only think of the positives. But at one point you kind of become delusional, And not that that's bad. I think there's a certain, you have to give and take in that sense. Like you can't always be too delusional. Like yeah, you could say you're one of the best and you are the best, and I don't think that's bad. But then the reality of things also kind of show you a different version of yourself, where when ego starts colliding with the reality, and you start messing up friendships and relationships and family ties, and there's a whole bunch of things that get in the way. It's just I don't, it's difficult to kind of explain in words, but it's one of those things where, like, if you understand what I'm saying, you know what I'm talking about. Not to give examples on a live stream, but because who knows who's watching, and I'm not here to break hearts and have people look at me differently, but life is what it is, man. Like life is what it is. That's an approach I can start doing too, even if it's just building habits. Doesn't have to always be monetary. Yo, absolutely. Even goes with what we started a couple days ago with the push-ups, right? Like that's a daily goal now for me, where it's like it doesn't matter how I do them, as long as I do them. Like today, had a crazy headache. I didn't really want to fucking do my push-ups today, but you know what? The first set, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do 25. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm doing 35. I'm like, all right, yo, those first 35 felt heavy as fuck. So I waited like 10, 20 minutes. Then I did another 30. I like, cool, yo. I drank water, made some breakfast, took some vitamins, and I'm like, yo, I'm knocking out the last that I need to do. And that's what I did. And then the second, the last sets that I needed to do was very easy. I finished them in 2 minutes, and I feel good now. Right? So it's even, doing those little goals and little things that you need to do to work on yourself as well, where it doesn't matter how you feel, just get it done, right? Something that might take you 10 minutes, yo, tomorrow it might take you 30 minutes. The next day it might take you 2 minutes. Then there's gonna be a day where you don't want to do them at all and you do it anyway, and then you're like, you know what, fuck it. The only way I'll be able to do it today, give me an hour. So when life happens, basically, yes sir. What's good, Inferno? Welcome to the stream, my brother. So that's gonna be my approach with life this year. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more, and not that I've been bad at it. So I'm not that type of person too, where it's like I let life kind of tackle me and fucking put me in this depressing ass hole. I'm not that type of person. But the way this year has been dealing with me, man, I can't believe it, man. Like, yo, what the fuck? Yeah, that's something that I've been saying again. It's already been over a month since all these things have happened to me, and it's just like, wow, what a fucking way to start the year. That's been my thing since the start of the year. That's something I've been saying every single day to myself. Like, wow, what a way to start the year. It's something that you only see on TV. Like you only hear stories of things like this. But then when it happens to you, it's like, oh, okay. Like I didn't think I deserved it like this, but again, I understand everything happens for a reason. So, and at the end of the day, I can't complain. I came out winning, got a new car, could go back home. Now I have a brand new car that I know is gonna, I had that car, I got that car in 2014, I got that car in 2022, 2021, 2022, right? And it lasted me 4 or 5 years, right? Now I have a car that's brand new. So now I know that for the next couple years, right? Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx myself, but I have a reliable car now. I have reliable transportation. I could go and do what I gotta do. So life is back at being normal in that regard, right? And then everything else that has happened to me that I'm not gonna talk about on stream for obvious reasons. Those are life lessons that I'm glad I'm going through. And the only person in here that would know what I'm talking about is Kendall. So, it, in the topic of reconnecting with people and opening up that chapter in your life again to in hopes to find something in the middle, I can't be upset at reconnecting with old friends. That's something that will always be, I'll always cherish that, and I'll always tell people, go and do that if the opportunity presents itself. Right? Go and build that bridge with that friend that you were once cool with. See if that vibe is still there. But one thing I will say, one of the last things I will say, and then we will get started. And again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Any specific pairs you guys want me to go over, let me know whether or not they're on our list. Again, today's session is going to be really quick. The only pair I'm going to talk about from the daily time frame to the 4 hour to the 30 minute is going to be AUD USD. All the other pairs, like we saw in the beginning of the session when I first started it, almost every single pair is consolidating. If it's not consolidating, they're just moving sideways or in peak high territory. So again, for me, and I will say this again for the people that just joined us, this week and next week, there's probably not going to be a live trading session um until I get back home. I should be getting home again. I'll give you guys the date. I should be getting back home on the 22nd or the 23rd, on Monday after the 18th. Let me see, the 23rd or the 22nd. Depends how I feel. If I feel like I'm good on the 22nd, I'll leave on the 22nd. That way I'll be home at night. I'll do the weekly market breakdown on the 22nd, and then on the 23rd we'll go ahead and we'll start our trading sessions and everything on the 23rd on that Monday. If not, I'll be back home on the 23rd. Obviously there won't be a live trading session on the 23rd, but we'll do an isolation session, and we'll go on from there, and we'll start these sessions again, and we'll be back on our regular schedule on the 23rd. So um the last thing I wanted to say was just, just fucking keep going, man. I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna say. That sounded so corny. My bad. That's not what I wanted to say. I forgot what I was gonna say. But anyway, any questions? Let me know in the chat. I'll give you guys another 20 seconds. We'll start at the 31-minute mark. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand why every single time I do the live trading session and I do it as a stream, I feel like I just take an hour just talking bullshit. I'm sorry. And again, shout out to E, because now I understand why his sessions were 7 hours long. Because he just fucking starts talking and it feels like time just flies when you just have these type of conversations. And they're good conversations to have. Yeah, I'd actually feel bad if I was just talking shit, but I feel like these are life lessons and things that you should talk about. So I feel like as humans, we all go through the same thing. The circumstances might look different, but the feelings are the same. We all have the same feeling, right? The circumstances, again, as to why you're feeling that type of way might look different, and they are going to be different for the most part, but the feelings that you feel afterwards are the exact same. Whether you're happy, everybody feels happy, sad, mad, upset, jealous, etc., etc. We all have the same feelings, right? So again, whether the circumstances were the same or not, at the end of the day, the feelings that are attached to that circumstance, we all understand that feeling. So that's something else that I had to, there's a time where you start feeling like you're the only one going through things, and you start feeling like, damn, why does it have to be me? But realistically speaking, there's hundreds of thousands of millions and billions of people on earth that feel the same way as you. Again, circumstances might be different, but the feeling aspect of it is the same across the board. Doesn't matter where you live, nationality, it don't matter. We all feel the same. Yer was Goody Muhammad. Mr. Sir, welcome, my brother. All right, so we all ready? Again, no questions in the chat. I'll give you guys another fucking 30 seconds, man. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Any specific pairs you guys want me to go over? Again, if not, this session is gonna go by really quick. The only pair that I'm gonna do a top to down analysis on is gonna be AUD/USD, just so we're all on the same page. If there's no questions in the chat, then again, AU is gonna be the only pair I'm gonna do a top down analysis on. All the other pairs, I'm just gonna update them on the 30-minute time frame. Once again, for me personally, I'm pretty much gonna be a little hands off from the charts for the next week and a half until I get back home. So use this time wisely. There, as far as the live sessions, the isolation sessions, there's gonna be days where I might turn the stream on. There's gonna be days where I'm just gonna do the recording, and there might be days where I just don't do a session at all. So if you have any questions, I'm telling you guys right now, if you have any questions, let me know now. And again, I will always be active in Discord, so if you don't have a question now, but you have a question, whenever in the next week or two, you could always message me on Discord and I will be active. But a live stream, live interaction, you'll get the best answer from me on the streams. AU was waiting for a setup all day. We could talk about AU. Absolutely. Yeah, AU, you already know what AU is at, Mohammed. You already know we're already in our safety trade area at the top of the zone of consolidation on an overall downtrend. So you already know this is the area where we want to start getting ready to take these trades, right? Especially knowing that we had the engulfing candle in the 30-minute time frame, which price tapped into it before the market closed yesterday at 4:30, and then as soon as the markets open, it just went straight down. And then just consolidated from the ending of Asia session all the way to the NYC session. Price was just pretty much trapping traders, just moving sideways the entire day. As far as AU, do you have any specific questions? Do you have any anything that you want to kind of any questions, anything that kind of threw you off, or not really? Because again, with AU, this is just we're at the higher high, right? And we know that there's only two things the market could do at these highs at this point, right? Either continue to trend or it's going to give us a zone of consolidation, right? And again, our job is to just wait for those change of characters, the break of structures, and continue to just look for that trend. Right? And all we had on AU, realistically speaking, was really, if we go down to the 1 minute, that'll be a little bit easier to look at, because on the 5 minute, we could say we had the change here, but this doesn't even look good, right? A change, a break, and then price just consolidated the entire time. Yeah, because I don't even like, because see, this is where I don't even like these moves here. So this would just all be 1 minute. On the 1 minute, we could say that we have the change and the break, but then we have the smaller candles as well. This pair right now isn't even not really calling my name at this point. I would love to see something else happen. Was waiting for an engulfing wicks both ways, yeah. That's really all it is. We just kind of just have to be a little patient with it. Just give it time to really start trending. And then again, regardless with AU right now, it's a little bit awkward because again, this could do the same thing that we saw in the last couple days, even last week with some pairs that overall we're in a downtrend or overall we're in an uptrend, and then this type of move happens, which we already know is a flag post pattern. And then we would think like, oh, excuse me guys. We would think, oh, this looks good to continue to go down, but again, when we draw up our fib, we're still trading higher high, higher low. Technically, we're already in that 23.6, 38.2 area. And then price continues that uptrend push. So, AU right now is looking very similar to those other pairs that we've talked about and that we've seen in the last couple days, last couple weeks. And again, that's a huge reason as to why, again, I'm even considering, this is the best time for me to take a little step back from the charts and clear my mind and, get back into it, because it's been a hell of a few months, man. Even before the shit that happened to me on at the start of the year with the card, like even before that, it's been a fucking hell of a year for me. So 2025 was a little bit stressful, and then the beginning of 2026 has been very stressful too. Not, physically stressful, mentally stressful, psychologically stressful. Like I fucking, I'm going through the fucking ringer right now. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's just one of those moments in life where, and I want to be real with you guys, because again, this is something that we all feel. Some people more than others, but I want to be that person to say, like, it's okay to have off days. It's okay to go and do what you gotta do, man. Get yourself situated, get yourself comfortable. A lot of people say that being uncomfortable and doing shit when you're uncomfortable, yada yada yada. Maybe for some people, they strive off of being uncomfortable. We had 2 days of rise. Don't we need to get the third day high before looking for shorts, or is that fine to neglect it? So when you're looking for the 372s, the 372s on the 30-minute, or looking for those trend continuations on the 4 hour or the daily time frame, the weeks or the months, when you're moving counter trend, you don't really expect the 372s to be hit on a counter trend. So for example, on AU, since overall we're in an overall downtrend, we're not really looking for, the 2 days of rise going into a third day, or 2 weeks of rise, or the 2 months of rise going into the third. The counter trend moves when you're looking for the 372s don't always get hit. There's like a, if we want to put percentages on it, there's maybe a 40% chance of those continuations to be hit when you're moving counter trend. So that's the reason why as well, that goes on to the question that you had earlier with the CTR or the CTD, is to have it labeled so like, this is a counter move. We're not really expecting that third push or that continuation to happen moving counter trend. So to answer the question, I'm not gonna say it's okay to neglect it. Again, always keep an eye on it because it could happen, but it's not something that you're expecting when you're moving counter trend. Right, I forgot that. It's all good. All right, let's get started, guys. So again, gonna be a quick session. It really shouldn't take us longer than 20 minutes. If you have questions, again, after every pair, I'm gonna go back into the chat, see if you guys have any questions. If not, again, I'm mainly just gonna focus on the 30-minute time frame for all of these pairs except for AU. Again, on AU, we'll talk about market maker's pattern, where we're at, what we're looking for, daily, 4 hour time frame, 30-minute. All the other pairs, we're just gonna focus on the 30-minute time frame, and that's gonna be the session for the day. So again, any questions, feel free to let me know. So AU, right now we are at the top of the zone of consolidation, the second zone of consolidation on an overall downtrend. So we know that currently for AU, we are sitting in our safety trade area, our point of interest to start looking for sells, right? When I say start looking for sells, doesn't mean start entering trades. This is the moment when you're looking at your charts and you're waiting for the confirmations, right? Whether that's market structure, candlestick analysis, or any of the entry models that you use, this is the time to start looking for those things on the charts, right? We know that for AU, we had the break of the zone of consolidation that gave us the lower low. And again, all we're looking for is for price to either give us a lower high point to continue back down into a lower low, or for price to do the exact same thing it did the last time we were at these highs, that price gave us an equal high, right? It gave us an equal high compared to the previous high that we had, and then went down. So once again, at these highs, we know we had an engulfing candle. Again, an engulfing candle going short, but price was still making higher highs and higher lows. So we already know that the engulfing candle got disrespected. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see that price is still sitting at the 4-hour highs, pretty much have just been in a little zone of consolidation again, where price is still on an uptrend on the 4-hour time frame, giving us higher high, higher low. Higher high gave us a higher low, and it gave us that push to the top side with the inducement, right? Now that we have the inducement of the high, this is where I want to start getting ready to start taking the trades. And we could even see it on the 4-hour time frame. The last four-hour candles that printed were just all exhaustion candles, right? Exhaustion candle, exhaustion candle, exhaustion candle, exhaustion candle, just trapping traders the entire time. And again, when you look at the moves for today, the last 16 hours, almost the last 24 hours, the market just opened already. Price was just consolidating, just trapping traders the entire time, right? The lower time frame traders who believed that this was going to be a shoulder head shoulder to continue that trend back to the bottom, price came back up, right back into break even, right? For the traders who were trading this on the lower time frame thinking that it was a double top, same thing. Just if you got into the trade, you're either in drawdown or you're still sitting at break even. So right now for AU is just one of those moments where you just have to be patient and wait for the trend to start. This is why, not every single time will it be good to try to catch the trades at the tippity tops. Because who knows? Again, on the 30-minute time frame, we're still on an uptrend. Right? Exactly how the 4-hour time frame was looking as a flag post pattern, this is exactly what the 30-minute time frame is doing. Right? Gives us a clean move to the top side. We'll be expecting price to give us a flag post pattern, a pullback or a retracement between 23.6 and 38.2 to then continue that trend to the top side. And could price continue the uptrend push? Of course. We still have the daily high. And again, if we go back up into the daily time frame, seeing where the daily highs are and where the previous highs were at previously, we know that we could still go back up and price will still give us an equal high at these highs. Price could still do the exact same thing it did here when price gave us an inducement of the daily time frame to then start the downtrend push, right? So there's still a few things that we want to wait for before we could consider taking these trades. Because price, just looking at market structure, looking at how price is printing, looking at the candlesticks, the candlestick analysis, could price continue these uptrend pushes on AU? Absolutely. And again, we still have this gap at the bottom of the market. We know price is going to come back down. So there's no need to rush into the trade. No need to rush into the trade. Wait for your confirmations. Once you get your confirmations, then you take the trade. Right? Let me know if you guys have any questions about that. Jumper, can you explain briefly why we're in a point of interest right now? For short, you said we're in the top of the zone, but the highs are still a little bit higher than the POI. Yeah, so like I said, whenever you're in a zone of consolidation, right? In this case, we're in a zone of consolidation we're in an overall downtrend at the top of the zone of consolidation, right? So we already know that the top of the zone of consolidation on a downtrend, right? When you're at the top of the zone of consolidation on a downtrend, that's a point of interest, right? That's what we would call the safety trade. Or vice versa, on an uptrend, when you're in a zone of consolidation, but the overall trend is uptrending and you're at the bottom of the zone of consolidation, that's the safety trade, right? Again, in this case, we know that we're still looking for price to give us that third push to the bottom side. So we know that this is the area where we want to start looking to take these trades again for price to continue that trend back to the bottom. Now, with the highs being higher, yeah, like I said, like I was just saying now on the daily time frame, right now we're at the 4-hour highs, right? Could price go a little bit higher to the daily highs to where the previous highs were? Absolutely, right? And that's the biggest reason why, again, understanding that the 4-hour time frame we're still on an uptrend, the 30-minute time frame we're still on an uptrend, we already have the understanding that, okay, yes, even though we want to start seeing price go short, especially when we're looking at price in this area, a lot of people would just be trapped on the lower time frame and they'll think, well, no, the previous highs were here and we're already there, right? So this is where the safety trade would be, but that's incorrect, right? You're getting trapped in the lower time frame analysis. But as I just explained and how you saw it on the daily time frame, we still have a little bit more to go at the top side. Price could go back higher into the daily time frame, right? But regardless, we already know that our safety trade is in between these areas here. right? Whether price decides to go up a little bit or if it wants to start continuing to make downtrend moves, these are still called the safety trades. This is the point of interest where, again, I'm not looking to take a trade right away, but this is the area in the market where I'm looking at the charts and I'm looking for my entry models and I'm waiting for confirmations to be hit before I start taking those trades. Let me know if that made sense and then I'll move on. Also, we don't have to reach those daily highs to induce them before going lower. Yeah, absolutely. Right. We don't have to go, right? Price doesn't have to go to the daily highs. Right. Once again, if price decides to go, because again, when you're looking at the trend, right? When you're looking at the trend or when you're looking at a trend, you have what would be the regular lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Right? That's the what's the word I'm looking for? That's the regular way. Like if you go on any social media platform or you go and you look at anybody who's talking about trends, this is what everybody's going to print, right? They're going to say lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. The lower high is just going to be a retest. But that's not always the case, right? A lower high doesn't always have to give you a retest. The lower high could be a little bit higher, right? It could be whenever people say, I'll even say this, and this is a good note to have. Whenever people mark up a lower high at a retest, usually a retest is always going to be a 50% retracement, right? And this is why it's called the golden ratio zone. But again, when you're looking at the fibs, your retracement could be higher. It could be a 78.6, it could be an 88.6, which a lot of traders would call the discount and the premium zones, right? But also, instead of price giving you a lower high point, it could give you an equal high, right? Highs could be equal highs as well, right? Or it could be a little bit higher, but in this case, we know that it's just an inducement. Price could always give you an inducement of the highs. Again, the same way that it did here. This is what I was explaining earlier, right? Price could always give you an inducement of the highs as well before we continue those trends to the bottom. So again, yes, even though we're in our point of interest, we have the understanding that price could go higher. And this is why I'm always keen to say, make sure you're looking at market structure. Because yes, even though we're in an overall downtrend, the 4-hour time frame is still uptrending. Right? The 4-hour is still uptrending. The 30-minute time frame is still uptrending, technically speaking. Right? The 30-minute time frame, we just made another higher high point. Right? And again, if we use our fibs, all we're looking for, especially with how market structure is looking, this looks like a flag post pattern. All we're looking for is a retracement between 23.6 or 38.2. So could price give us, a lot of traders would call this, if you look at SRC, excuse me guys, sorry, right? If you look at SRC concepts, right, a lot of these traders would be like, oh, we're looking for a breakout or retest to then continue. But understanding that we're still on an uptrend, price could give you the break of these lows of what looks like a zone of consolidation, and then just continue to push back to the top side and fake all the traders out who got into these shorts to continue that push to the top side. Right? Let me know if that made sense. So again, absolutely you're correct, right? The way that you're looking at the charts is the correct way to look at it, right? Which is like, oh, but we still have these highs, right? It's good that you're able to identify that there are still highs on the market that price could reach, right? So it's always good to have that question as a trader, right? It's always good to have that question like, okay, yes, this is where we're at and this is what we want to see. But how could we be looking, right? The question is, how could we be looking for short positions when the market structure is still on an uptrend, right? And then understanding like, okay, yes, we're looking for shorts, but we're still on an uptrend. And we also still have these daily highs. We still have these high points in the market that price could reach. So then that's where, as a trader, that's where you start making the decision like, okay, cool. Before I take this trade, I want to start seeing the downtrend push, right? And being okay with, and with the example, this is another example that I was giving yesterday. Give me 1 second. Um, this is something that I spoke about yesterday in the recording that I did, right? The way I think of trading is very simple, right? You have, in basketball terms, you have 4 quarters, and I'm not gonna make this story quick so we can move on and we can finish with the session already. We've already been streaming for an hour. That shit's crazy. In basketball terms, you have 4 quarters, right? The coach isn't going to put the star player in right away in the first quarter and have him play the entire game, the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter, right? So think of trading the exact same way. We're at the top of the zone of consolidation, right? And let's use numbers. And let's do this on the 30. We won't be able to do it on the 30. It's too high. But just think about it. Using numerical values. So then that way trading doesn't have to be so anxious. You don't have to be so anxious when you're trading, right? Just using the area that we're in now into peak low, we're still missing 1,559 pips, right? On a pair that moves 85 pips on a day-to-day basis on average, right? Let's use STP, a pair that moves 40 pips, right? Anywhere between 40 to 50 pips on a day-to-day basis. So you do the math, right? 1,500, let's just do 1,500 divided by 50, right? That's 30. That means you have 30 days. And we know that a trend, price isn't going to give you 30 days of price just moving straight down. So, but let's just use it how it is, right? You have 30 days to trade AU before it reaches those lows that we're looking at for as to where price is going to go. So I'm okay with missing the first initial trade here at the highs. I'm okay with it. I'm just trying to catch a piece of the pie. Out of the 1,500 pips, if I could catch 100 of those, I'm okay. Out of the 1,500 pips, if I could catch 60 of them, I'm okay with it. Right? At the end of the day, right now where AU is at, what are we still making? Higher highs and higher lows. We still have a zone of consolidation. We're still in a zone of consolidation when we zoom it out. Right here on the 30-minute time frame, we know price has been rejecting lows, rejecting highs, rejecting lows, going to the middle, rejecting lows, and going back to the highs. Right? We're still in a zone of consolidation. We're still moving sideways. And you already know me, right? As a trader, I've always said this. I am not trading a zone of consolidation until when? Until we get if we're in a downtrend, I'm not taking a trade in a zone of consolidation until we either get an inducement of the high and then start seeing the downtrend moves to then catch the trades from the top going to the bottom, or until price gives me a break, right, of the bottom of the zone of consolidation to then continue. So I'm either looking to take these trades, or I'm looking for price to do something like this to then catch these trades down here. You see what I'm saying? So for me, trading, it's no longer a thing where I'm like, oh, I gotta stay on this chart and I gotta catch these trades and I'm nervous and I'm anxious and I don't like, there's none of that, because I already understand. I'm okay with, I'll give you the example. We have a perfect example here. Like, we have a 30-minute engulfing candle at the highs where we would have caught this trade. This is zero drawdown. We're talking about a zero drawdown trade at the fucking tippity top of the market. This is a 5 pip stop loss. Why am I okay with missing this trade? Because outside of us having that engulfing candle, there is no other confirmation that tells us that price is gonna go short. There isn't none. On the contrary, the daily time frame still on an uptrend. The 4-hour time frame still on an uptrend. The 30-minute time frame still on an uptrend. So the question again, as a trader, yes, even though your entry model is on the chart, you could see your entry model. You could see whether it's an engulfing candle, whether it's a golden ratio Fib retracement, whether it's a fair value gap, a smart money concept entry, whether it's a turtle soup or a Jaguar F type or a fucking Audi R8. It doesn't matter what your fucking entry model is. If you have a bearish confirmation entry model, but market structure is either A, uptrending, or B, moving sideways, why are you taking that trade? Right? Trading is a game of probabilities. The difference between trading, right, in trading terms, the difference between probabilities in trading versus the probability of you winning $1 million at a casino is completely different. Because at a casino, you don't have an edge. When you're playing blackjack, you don't know what card is coming next. When you're playing in a slot machine, you don't know when that jackpot is going to be hit. Opposed to in trading, you're looking at candlestick analysis. You're looking at exhaustion candles. You're looking at doji candles. You're looking at Morningstar candles. You're looking for engulfing candles. You're looking at market structure. Right? These candlestick analysis and market structure in trading, that's a language. The chart is talking to you. So if the chart is telling you that, if the chart, you can see that it's making higher highs and higher lows, is that the market telling you that the market is moving down or that the market is moving up? If there's an exhaustion candle, right? If there's a bullish exhaustion candle, is that the market telling you that the market is going to go up or that the market is going to go down? You see what I'm saying? So again, in trading, you have so much information at your disposal. You have so much information in trading that allows you to have a very, very, very high and a very good win rate. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the thing that a lot of traders don't understand. Not because they're ignorant, but because everybody online is going to tell you that, oh, this is a game of probabilities. You're going to win some and lose some. Set and forget. Hashtag set and forget. You like, yo, incoming crash out. Here we go, Muhammad. Here we go. You see what I'm saying? So in trading, you know what's happening before it happens. And this is why when you compare my style of trading and you compare it to somebody else online or anyone else, you see it's very different. I have a very different approach and a very different mindset. And why? Not because I'm crazy. No, it's because I have hours. Again, people tend to forget. When I first started really learning how to trade, I was on my charts for 12, 16 hours a day, every single day. And that's not a flex, because I understand that 99% of you guys watching this do not have the time to do what I did. I understand that. But I also understand that I sacrificed my fucking years, because I did that for 2 years. I sacrificed my time to learn this information, and I'm able to give it to you guys now. So you don't have to put in 12 hours a day to do this. All you need a day is 1 to 2 hours a day to just get on the charts and understand what it is that I'm talking about. Because it's not difficult to see this. It's not, you cannot tell me what I just talked about. You cannot tell me that it's difficult to tell me that AUD-USD right now is in a zone of consolidation. You can't. You can't tell me as a trader. If you call yourself a trader, you can't fucking tell me that you see AUD-USD right now trending. Where is the trend? Because again, to my knowledge, a trend is higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, or vice versa. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And a zone of consolidation is sideways movement. What do we see? Higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. That's a trend? Please, somebody answer the fucking question in the chat. Right? What I just drew right now, that's a trend? No, it's a zone of fucking consolidation. We already know what we're looking for. We're at the top of the zone of consolidation. We have the inducement. What's the only thing that's missing right now is for us to start seeing lower lows and lower highs. As long as I don't see lower lows and lower highs, I'm not taking these trades. Because again, we understand as well the other side of the picture. We understand that price could go up a little bit higher. Right now, the 30-minute lows are here and the 30-minute highs are here. Price could always give us an inducement or another high up here to then give us a 30-minute low here to then we start seeing the change of character, the break of structure, and this is where I'm going to take the trade. And where are we? We're still at the top of the zone of consolidation. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay with missing the first initial 50 pips. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with missing the trade today, but understand that if it gives us that trade today and it gives us the confirmation that we need to see a change of character and a break of structure, understand that I'm taking this trade tomorrow and I'm taking it on Thursday and I'm taking it on Friday, and then when the markets open next week on Monday, I'm going to look for those same entries to continue that trend back to the bottom. Right? So again, for me, I'm not trying to catch every single move on the chart. I'm trying to catch what makes sense. As soon as we start downtrending, I'm taking that trade. As long as price, again, we're looking for short positions. Right now, we have 30-minute and the 4-hour making higher highs and higher lows. Why in the world am I looking for short positions on a pair that's still on an uptrend? Like, I'm trying to make this make as much sense as possible. It's the only reason why I'm still on this pair. Right? No question in the chat. That's why I don't even like crashing out, yo, because nobody's saying nothing. Like, fuck. Top of the zone of consolidation, if you was asking us. Right. Yeah. We're at the top of the zone of consolidation, man. Like, we chilling. We already know. Right? This is the point as traders. At this point, there's no need to be nervous here. There's no need to feel anxious. There's no need to feel like, oh my god, I'm gonna miss the trade. Brother, trust me, you'll be okay. From the top of the zone of consolidation to the peak low, which is where we're looking for the price to continue the trend, we have a 1,500 pips. Believe me, we are going to catch some of those pips, yo. I promise you. If you start chasing trades before the market even gives you confirmations as to where price wants to go, at the end of the day, just to give you guys a numerical value, let's say that you take 10 trades. You lose 7 of those trades. Imagine how, and those 7 trades that you lost were very avoidable. Imagine your profits if you would have just waited and being patient. Instead of being in drawdown thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, and then those 3 trades that you won, the first trade you took got you back to break even, and the other 2 trades were good trades, you're in profit. But imagine if you still had the same buying power before you took those losses. Those 3 trades that you took, Now you're seeing at hundreds of dollars of wins, hundreds of dollars of profits, thousands of dollars of profits, right? And that's something that I had to learn the hard way, because I didn't really have somebody like that where I can't say that. I did have somebody like that that was telling me the same information. Shout out to E. But the type of person that I am, and I am very hard, I used to be very hard-headed. Now I'm not anymore because I learned this in trading. Again, if I tell you, yo Inferno, yo Muhammad, if you touch that fire, it's going to burn your hand and it hurts. If you're the type of person that says, nah, I don't listen to what nobody has to say, I have to go do it myself, you're gonna go ahead and you're going to go touch that fire and it's gonna burn you. And that's when you're gonna be like, damn, I should have listened to Jumper, man. He told me that the fire was gonna burn me and I didn't listen. It's the same way. Trading is the exact same way. I could tell you guys not to do something and you guys are gonna fucking do it anyway. And you're gonna continue to do it until it hurts you. Until you realize, like, I have to stop doing this. And that's the type of trader that I was. And I would say that's the type of person that I was when I first started trading. Until I realized, yo, why am I making this shit harder than it has to be? I'm in a zone of consolidation. I'm not looking to take these trades until we get a break of structure and inducement. But in my head at that time, I just want to catch it because I'm nervous about missing the trade. I'm anxious about missing the trade. Oh, but what if the break happens and I don't have the entry opportunity and I miss it? Oh, well. If you miss it, you come back the next day and you fucking do it again. That's all that it is, right? And at the end of the day, it's about sticking to your plan too. You have a trading journal. You're supposed to have a trading journal. And in your trading journal, you have your rules and what you're looking for. So why, you said hard facts, but seriously, why we can't stick? There you go. Exactly what I was just about to start saying. Thank you for saying that in the chat. Right? At the end of the day, you have a trading plan. I fucking assure you guys. And again, this isn't me talking shit. I just don't like to sugarcoat things. If you go and you grab the top 10 traders online and you go and you ask them, yo, show me your trading plan and show me the trades that you've taken. How many of the traders that took trades, how many of them are following a plan? I guarantee you that 90% of the trades these guys take are not trading their plan word for word how they have it written down. You guys have my trading journal. You guys have my live sessions. You guys could see how I follow my plan word for word every single day. If STP or ADR is hit, I'm out. I don't care. I'm not nervous about missing a trade. I'm not nervous about, oh, I'm gonna miss the trade, I have to get in early. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that. I care about taking the trades when they're in front of my face. If a certain pair is following my rules, I'm taking the trade. But if a pair is not following my rules, I come back again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. That's really what it is. Because at the end of the day, why was I nervous about these? And this is another form of reality that a lot of people don't seem to understand. In the beginning stages of trading, you're nervous and you're anxious because you're trading with $100 account. Or you're trading on a demo account, right? A prop firm account. Realistically speaking, taking one trade when you have a $100 account, it doesn't pay your bills. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, as well, you shouldn't be a full-time trader. Number one, you shouldn't be a full-time trader if you do not understand the game of trading, how it's supposed to be, and if you're not ready to be a full-time trader. Your beginning stages of trading is for you to learn, and to learn the information and understand why you're taking a trade and why you're not taking a trade. The times that you're learning how to trade, and this is something that I've always told every single student, all of you guys are grown adults. All of you guys work a job. All of you guys could put in $50 to $100 a month and invest it in a live account. At the end of the year, or at the end of the second year, or whenever you're ready to start trading, how much money are you going to have on that trading account? Best believe that, again, if you're trading a fucking prop firm account, a $10,000 prop firm account is a $1,000 live trading account. A lot of people do not understand that. A 100K prop firm account is the same size as a 10K live broker account. Understand that and put that in perspective with what I'm about to say. You could be a full-time trader starting with a 1K balance on your account. You could be. So just understand that. TJR is a big example of that, huge example of that. Shout out TJR. It feels different when you're in front of the chart than when you're talking about it. Absolutely. It's something completely different. It's something completely different. Right? When you're talking about it, you might feel like, oh yeah, I know all of this information. But then, you know, whenever you're on the chart trading live, again, for me, I trade from 6 in the morning to 11 in the morning, Eastern time. Right? So it's different when you're talking about it, but then when you wake up and you look at your charts at 6 in the morning and you're ready to start taking trades live, you're just lost. You don't really know what the hell you're looking at. But again, if you're that type of person still, where when you're trading live, you have no clue what's going on, that just means you still have a lot of work to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Well, a lot of people are going to make you feel bad about that. Oh, you just don't know what you're doing. No, it is true though. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're looking for. It's the same way. When you're in school and you're practicing for a test, you have a test on Friday, it's Tuesday. On Tuesday, you're like, oh, this is easy. And you just kind of neglect it. And then Friday comes and you're taking the test and you're like, yo, I have no clue what this is. What does that mean? That the teacher just, or the professor just switched up the answers? No, that just means you didn't prepare to take the test. You're not prepared to take the test because the student next to you is finished the test in 10 minutes and you're still on question number 1. So again, there's nothing wrong with feeling that way, Gio. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to be realistic with yourself. The only reason, and this is not only for you, obviously, this every trader feels this way. You're not the first person to say that, and you're not going to be the last. I felt the exact same way. I'm 100% sure Muhammad felt that same way, especially Muhammad when he first started learning about this concept. Kendall felt the same way. Inferno felt the same way. Right? Adrian, which is another student in our session. He's not here right now. We started the session a little bit earlier, so we're missing a few students. Right? Albert felt the same way. Right? Where it's like, I in the session when I'm explaining it, everybody understands what I'm talking about. But then in the morning when it's time to trade live, you guys are lost. Because again, you're still learning how to trade. And at the end of the day, you're always going to be a student of the charts. So don't ever feel like, oh, I can't wait to master the charts. That's not a thing. You're always going to be a student of the charts. However, there is going to come a point when it's no longer stressful. You're no longer anxious. And E will tell you guys in the Discord. He said it before, and Kendall heard this shit before. A couple years ago, every single time I was in a trade, I had to go to the bathroom. Every single time. That's how anxious I was. It doesn't happen to me anymore. Because I'm already prepared. And I'm prepared again because I have my trading journal. It doesn't matter how long I've been trading for, I always have my trading journal in front of me. I have my rules in front of me written out in a composition notebook. Right? My whiteboard back at home. I'm not home right now. Right? I'm still in Miami. But back at home, I still have my whiteboard with what? How the candlesticks look. I have the I just read your comment, that shit threw me off. He said, Cap, you had to go shit when we had that entry on US 30. That's different. It's because I had to take a shit, not because I was nervous. He said, Cap, like, alright, bro, you caught me red-handed. My bad, bro. Like, my bad I had to go take a shit at fucking 9 in the morning, bro. Stupid, yo. In my whiteboard, I still have the market maker pattern drawn out. I have the candlesticks drawn out on my whiteboard. I have the zones of consolidation drawn out in front of me at all times on my whiteboard. So again, it's not because I'm gonna forget how it looks. No, it's because the more you see it, you're just not gonna be able to unsee it. I have the type 1, type 2, type 3 patterns, uptrends and downtrends on my whiteboard back at home. I have all of that in front of me every single day. And again, as a trader, if you're not doing the same thing or something similar to that, you have a lot of work to do. Every successful trader has always said this from time to time again. You need to write notes. Not typing it on your computer, not having it somewhere stored in your storage in your hard drive. You need to have a composition notebook, a written notebook, written notes and drawings of what you're looking at. That is the best way to memorize information. And have it. You can have sticky notes. Put the sticky notes on your wall. Put it on your table if you have space. See the notes every single day. Have it in front of you every single day. That's the only way to memorize this information. It's the only way because again, in trading, you're going to use this information every single day for the rest of your life. If trading is something you want to do as a full-time job and is something that you want to have a very long career in, this is information you're going to use every single day. This isn't like school, where 1 week you're learning something and then the next week you're learning something completely different and you forget what you learned the first week and you're never going to see that again. I learned what the slope intercept form was in school. Y equals mx plus b. When the fuck I ever use that shit in my life again? Never. Never. I've never used the slope intercept form in my fucking life. But best believe I use ADR minus 33% equals STP. I use that shit every single day of my life. Candlestick analysis, market structure, zones of consolidation, trends versus zones of consolidation. That's information you need to know every single day. A gap. Why does the market open with gaps? What do gaps represent? What do they do? How does it affect the market? That's information that you're going to use every single day. The definition of a zone of consolidation, that's something that you need to know like the back of your hand. Because that is something that you're going to see on the market every single day. Trading is not something where you're going to learn this information and now you feel like, oh, I learned it, I could forget it and go on to the next thing. No. You need, in trading, you need to learn one thing at a time. When you memorize the first thing you're learning and not only memorize it but understand it like the back of your hand, then you go on to the next thing and you continue to add more things in your trading. Have you tried learning other strategies before getting to this one? So this is the first strategy that I learned. Luckily for me, when I first started trading, the market maker's pattern, the market maker's pattern is the foundation of everything else that I've added onto my trading. So everything that you see me doing, right? Again, the market maker's pattern, right? That's the 3 levels and the 2 zones of consolidation, the 372s, STP and ADR, the 3 pushes, the type 1, type 2, type 3 pattern, how to look at market structure as well on the lower time frames and the higher time frames. That was the first thing that I learned. Now, I know other strategies, not because I was learning other strategies and I wanted to use other strategies, but because when I started teaching people how to trade, how can I teach? The question I asked myself very early on when I started teaching is, how can I teach a student if I don't understand what they're doing? So that's when I started learning about fair value gaps, and I learned about order blocks, and I learned about turtle soup, and I learned about the different Fibonacci retracements and what they're called. And that goes into the golden ratio zone, the discount and what's it called, the discount zone versus the discount versus premium. I learned a little bit about support and resistance. I learned a little bit about how this one girl trades with the trend lines. What's that shit called? There's also another form of support and resistance. I learned about the SRC, which is Smart Raja concepts, which is what I just talked about with the zones of consolidation. So there's Tory trades. So there's again, luckily for me, the what I learned and how I learned how to trade, luckily I got into something that was 100% real, and you obviously see that it works. Um, Opposed to a lot of people learn bullshit first, and it's very difficult to stop doing bad habits and pick up good habits. But luckily for me, this is pretty much all I've been trading since 2016, 2017 when I first started learning how to trade. So it's about 10 years already. It's been a decade. And again, no shot at Tori trades. You know, I love what she does, what she does, and how she does it. But it's just like every other trader and every other entry or every other entry model that you look up online. Like, it's very unfortunate that you're using trend lines when the market is moving counter trend, right? Like you're using a trend line on an uptrend when price is moving downtrend, and then price breaks above your trend line and you take those buy positions and price plummets and goes straight into stop loss. And understand that you just took a trade going long when price gave you a lower high point, and you just couldn't see that price was in a lower high point for price to go down into a lower low. So every entry and every entry model has that, that fluke, is the understanding of market structure, which again, not a lot of people teach. A lot of people don't really understand what market structure is or how it looks. And that's what the market maker's pattern is when you go up into the daily time frame, and you see it on the 4-hour time frame, even when you go into the 30-minute time frame. Like what we just explained, right? Like, yes, even though an entry model was printed on AU, which was a bearish entry model, we understand that the market structure is still higher high and higher low. So again, why am I taking a bearish entry model when the overall market structure is still higher high, higher low? It doesn't make any sense, right? That's why you see traders have a 40%, 50%, 60%, 70% win rate. And again, you could be profitable having a shit win rate. 100% you could be profitable not having a 80%, 90% win rate. But it's different when you see that a lot of these traders have $1 million accounts. It's very difficult when you have $100, $200 to play with. You can't really have anything below a 70%, 75, 80% win rate, because how much money are you going to have in your account after you take X amount of losses? You're never going to make a profit. You see what I'm saying? So we've talked a lot, guys. We've been doing this shit for an hour and a half. I'm gonna start speeding it up. Again, all these other pairs, I'm just gonna update the 30-minute time frame and then go from there. So we're just gonna be looking for continuations. AUD CAD still just moving sideways. Any questions, let me know, but I'm flying through this. Let me know. I gave you guys a lot of information. I'm not trying to stay here for another 2 hours doing this for every single pair, but again, every single pair is traded and treated the exact same way. The only difference is some pairs are on an overall downtrend, some other pairs are in an overall uptrend, and some pairs are just moving sideways. Right? ECAD, we're still in peak high territory, and we can see that price is just moving sideways. What are we going to trade here? Nothing. We're in a zone of consolidation. There's nothing to trade. Right? EU for today, what did it do? Just move sideways. Nothing to really look at. Right? This is another pair for us that just got to be patient. And again, as soon as I turned the stream on earlier, we went through every pair one by one, and we saw that the common theme is just a lot of these pairs are just either in peak highs or they're just moving sideways or moving counter trend. Right? GA in specific, we're in peak high territory again, pretty much what I was explaining in the weekly market breakdown on Sunday and what I talked about yesterday in the session. I'm not going to be trading GA until we start seeing the trend once again. So I'm just updating my 30-minute time frame, just getting the charts ready going into tomorrow. GJ 30-minute time frame, we're still trading higher high, higher low, higher high, and we can see that price now is moving down. But again, as we zoom out with GJ, what is price doing? Just moving sideways, rejecting lows, rejecting highs, rejecting lows, rejecting highs, rejecting lows, rejecting highs again, just giving us inducement to the highs and inducement to the lows the entire time. Gave us an inducement of the high. What is price doing? Going back to the lows. Perfect. Right? This is another example of the smart Raja concepts with the zones of consolidation. right? If you thought that this is where price gave you the break and it gave you the retest and it was going to continue to push back to the top side, you went back straight down into either break even if you didn't cash out, or straight into stop loss if you thought that price was just going to continue to push back to the top side, right? Understanding that we're in a zone of consolidation, it's just, it keeps it very simple. It keeps it very simple. We already know GJ and those other pairs that are in zones of consolidation, I'm waiting for the breaks. If I don't get the breaks, all good. I'll come back again the next day and the next day and next week and the next week after that and the next month. Once we get the breaks, that's when I'll start trading. And even something that we talked about yesterday, that's a very big reason why I'm not married to one pair. Everybody online is going to tell you, yo, you should only look at one pair. I don't agree. Because if the one pair you're looking at is moving sideways, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Can't do anything about that. You're going to be taking a lot of trades and you're going to be taking a lot of losses. A lot of losses. Right? And then you guys already know US 30 gold, Bitcoin, oil, and silver. Regardless, I don't really do my analysis on these during the isolation session. These are pairs that I just look at in the morning when I wake up in the live trading sessions. If if the specific pair hasn't hit STP or ADR, then we'll continue to look at those pairs in the morning. Gold in the last 2 days has just been moving sideways. Bitcoin for the last 5 days has just been moving sideways as well. Not really anything to talk about. Oil, last couple days, what have we been doing? Just moving sideways again. Really nothing to talk about. Gotta wait for these pairs to start trending. Always remember, and this is something that a lot of traders say, the trend is your friend. If there's no trend, there's no need to force a trade. It's that simple. If there's no trend, there's no trade. The trend is your friend. Major key alert. So, as of right now, there's no continuations, guys. I'm not really looking anything for right now. So no specific session. You just enter when you see the perfect pattern for you. So I usually just trade the NYC session, right? 9 out of 10 times, how I approach the markets is like let's say that a pair, let's just to give you an example, let's say that GJ gives me an entry model now during Asia session or London session. There's a 90% chance that I'm not taking the trade. Why? Because I also understand, the market gives you accumulation, manipulation, and then the distribution, right? Meaning I understand that the Asia session and London session, you have a higher chance of getting faked out of the trade that you're taking. But that also depends on what pair you're trading. So I'll give you an example. If you're trading a pair like EURUSD during Asia session, what do you think is going to happen? Right? It's EURUSD. It's a London session pair, a USD session pair. So if you take a EURUSD trade during the Asia session, you know that you have a 90% chance of getting stopped out. Right? So for the most part, since most of my pairs are London session and NYC session pairs, that's the reason I don't trade Asia session. Because I know that if I take any of those trades during this time, right, and again, I'm in the East Coast, so if I take a trade anywhere between 5 p.m. and 2 in the morning, I know that I'm going to get hit out. There's a 90% chance that I got into the trade way too early, right? So again, 9 out of 10 times, I'm not saying that I never take a trade during Asia session. No, there is times when the market is going to give you that entry very early, right? Or I would say very late because it's 6 p.m., 5 p.m., but early on in the market session. However, my specific session that I look for a trade is during the NYC session, right? The ending of London going into the NYC. I start trading at 6 in the morning. 6 a.m. is when I start looking at the charts and I start updating my charts again in the morning, and then I'll start looking for trades. And I trade my time to be on the computer to look for trades is 6 in the morning until 11 a.m. So pretty much 5 hours in my day. I only trade NASDAQ, so I don't know about other pairs in Asia. Okay, so yeah, NASDAQ, that's pretty much US 30, NAS 100, S&P, It'll be the same thing. If you trade futures, you know, obviously you can't even really trade Asia session. Realistically speaking, you would have to wait for the NYC Open at 9:30. But if you're trading Nasdaq anyway, regardless, you shouldn't be trading Asia session or London session. 5 hours a day in front, every day in front of charts. Yep, 5 hours a day. And then obviously the session that we do at night, you know, I'm on the charts from 6 in the morning to 11 in the morning. And then when I get back and we do these sessions at night, usually this session starts at 7 p.m. and we finish at 8:30. But again, I don't use this session to trade. I use this session to update my charts, see what the markets did today to get ready for tomorrow. That's what, you know, this is called the isolation session. So pretty much we're isolating which pairs look the best to then get ready for tomorrow. So technically speaking, on a day-to-day basis, you know, not counting the one-on-one sessions, and if anybody has any questions and I'm on the charts, I'm on the charts for 8 hours a day every single day at a minimum. But any other questions, guys? Anything else you guys want me to go over? Anything you want me to explain? Let me know. If not, that's pretty much it for tonight. And again, like I said in the beginning of the session, I'll be back home on the 22nd of February. So these next couple days, these next couple weeks on the charts, you know, we're gonna take it a little bit easy. I might not trade as much these next couple days, next couple weeks, but I'll let you guys know in the Discord as always. I'll keep you guys posted. That didn't ruin your mental health while trading. I'm probably not the best person to ask that question to, Gio. And the reason I'm saying that is because before I was trading, I used to be a professional gamer in Call of Duty. So when it comes to screen time and my approach of trading, like trading is very very similar to Call of Duty in a competitive, obviously again a very high competitive level. It's very similar. The way, you know, at the end of the day, trading is just pattern recognition. We understand that the market, it does the same thing every single day. There's only three things the market could do: either move up, move down, or move sideways. And it's our job to understand, again, market structure comes into play and candlestick analysis comes into play. It's a repetitive cycle. um so again, I say that I'm probably not the best person to ask that question because I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy being in front of my computer. It's something that I've done since I was 11 years old. I'm 24 now, turning 25 in a few weeks, in a month actually. So me being on the computer, me doing this, you know, even me learning in the learning phases, again, you know, I'm on my computer less now than when I was learning how to trade. When I was learning how to trade, when I retired, the first 2 years of me being on the charts, I was on the charts. I was gaming for 12, 16 hours a day, right? I was in practice, or I was playing tournaments, or I was streaming, or I was editing. I was on my computer for 12 to 16 hours a day. So when I retired from gaming, the same amount of time that I was in gaming, I was putting that same amount of time learning how to trade, taking notes, watching courses, on the charts, you know, back testing. I enjoy that process. So for me, it's, you just get used to it. Yeah, it's something that I was already used to. However, again, there's certain sacrifices that, again, also I already understood because of what I used to do before trading. There's certain sacrifices that I understood I had to make. You know, like while all my friends are out, again, I started really learning how to trade and really taking it serious when I was in college. And you know, in college, you have your friends going out to clubs and drinking and partying and smoking, and you have friends over at your house. At the time, I was living in an apartment with three other of my friends that I've known for a very long time, and we went to the same college. And while they were out doing, having fun, I was in my room. And luckily, those were very, very close friend of mine, best friends of mine, and they understood what I was doing. So it was never like, they understood, like, I don't hate you guys. I gotta do this. I have to be on my computer, and I understood the sacrifices. Same thing when it came to with relationships and family members. Like, for me, it's different. For me, it's different. I understand the sacrifices I have to make in order to be successful at what I want to be successful at. And I'm not saying that you have to do the same thing, but for me, I had to do it, right? Well, that's what a real lock-in looks like. Yeah. That, and I even said, I don't know if you were here earlier, but again, I also understand that 99% of the people don't have the opportunity to do what I did, which was to put in 12 hours a day to learn how to trade. Again, luckily I had a good amount of money to be able to pay my rent and pay what I have to do to be able to do what I did. So, to also say what I was going to say, your learning phase of trading doesn't have to look like that. And I always say, and I've said it in every single session almost, especially if you've been here for a long time, all you need is an hour a day, an hour or two a day to really learn how to trade, right? Especially when you're learning from somebody that is giving you the right information and is giving you all the information. And a lot of these people, I don't know how long you've been watching us for, but I think this is the first time I see your name in the Discord. But Muhammad, which is Cristiano on the chat, Inferno could tell you he's somebody that just joined us about 2-3 weeks ago. Kendall has been with me for 2 years now. Usually we would have more people here as well. Albert, Adrian, all these people will tell you, like, if you have any questions at any time of the day. Again, I'm in the East Coast, but Inferno lives, I think he's 6 hours ahead of me. Muhammad is 8 hours ahead of me. You guys can message me at whatever time of the day. We could set up one-on-one sessions. It's I'm always available for you guys. So it's like, I care about this. This is something that I do. So I couldn't commit only 2 hours. Yeah, 12 hours. No, 12 hours is insane. I 100% agree with you. It's score you on Discord. Okay, bet. Yeah, so 20-hour days, I'm telling you, like, not everybody is able to do that, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to put in 24 hours a day to learn. You really don't. But understand that if you only put in an hour or two a day, make sure that that hour, that 2 hour that you have on the charts is productive work. But again, it's a lot of information, bro. It's a lot of information. And again, everybody online that's selling you a course is going to tell you, you trade with me and in the next 2 months you're going to be rich. They're trying to sell you a course, brother. Of course they're going to tell you that. That's marketing. They're advertising that for a reason. Appreciate your hard work, man. No problem, my brother. I appreciate you guys more than you know, man. This is very boring when you're doing it by yourself. So believe me, I enjoy doing these sessions. I enjoy doing the one-on-one classes. I enjoy the questions. And again, Inferno would be the first one to tell you, like, you should see all the questions he has for me every single, the last fucking week has been all day, every day with Inferno. And that's okay. Like, I'm okay with it. And you don't have to apologize for asking questions. You don't have to apologize for using my time. Again, that's what I'm here for. So I feel like when you come from competitive backgrounds, that shit's just natural. Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing. That's what I was explaining. Like, I'm the worst person to ask that question to, because naturally I'm just like that. Before gaming, I was playing baseball. Before baseball, I played baseball and football. Um, so it to me is just like, I understand the work that you need to put in to be a top player, to be the best version that you need to be for yourself. You need to put in that time. Again, you see the stories with everyone everywhere in every sport. Kobe Bryant wasn't putting in an hour a day of practice. Kobe Bryant wasn't showing up to the court at 9 a.m. for practice. He was already in the gym at fucking 4 or 5 in the morning. While everybody else is still sleeping and doing whatever. He's on the court and he's practicing at 4 in the morning, 5 a.m. LeBron, same thing. Like all these players, they're not they're not the best players because they only put in an hour a day. Now again, you could still be successful and only practice an hour or two a day. You could still be successful, especially if you're really good at what you do. But understand that you're never gonna be a Kobe doing that. You're never gonna be Stephen Curry. You're never gonna be LeBron James. You're never gonna be Shaq. You're not gonna be Scottie Pippen. You're not gonna be D Rose. You're not gonna be these guys. You're not gonna be a trader that's trading at 100%, 99%, 95% win rate if you don't put in the time. But it's okay because you could still make $1 million with the 60%, 70% win rate. You could still do it. So it just depends who you are. Again, for me, I want to be the fucking best. I want to be the best at everything that I do. That's how I am personally. That's my personality. So it's the same thing when I played baseball. I didn't want to just play baseball. Like when I played baseball, I took it serious and I wanted to be the best ball player. You know what I mean? So it's it's different. It's different. It's a different way of life. And again, I understand that not everybody is chasing to be the number one. But again, there's a reason why during the college league when I played for my college, there's a reason why I was atop of my leaderboards. There's a reason when I play rank play, I'm atop of the leaderboards. There's a reason why you always see my name in gaming at the top. There's a reason for that. It's not because of anything else other than the fact that nobody was putting in the same amount of time that I was. Right? And in trading, I keep it low key. But there's a reason why you guys see the information that I give you and you see the trades that I take. And Kendall has seen it firsthand. He's seen the messages that I get firsthand. No way, this is real. You gotta be fake. Like, why the fuck would I be sharing fake stories with you guys and I do this for free? I have nothing to gain from telling you guys a lie. I have nothing to gain. You guys aren't paying me for this. You gotta make your own name. What do you mean? Nah, man. My Inferno hit me with that yesterday, but it's valid though. You know what I mean? Like again, in a world where, especially again in trading, in a community where everybody is just a liar, like you gotta, there's nothing wrong with being, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, suspicious, but that's not the word I'm looking for. But it is what it is though. I like trading though because I'm already a ghost. Facts. That's what I love about trading. Like realistically speaking, this is something that you don't have to grow a social media presence to make money. You don't have to be, you don't have to be FX Alex G and go to the Super Bowl and streak and then write some bullshit on your chest. You don't need that. But again, these guys make money from social media. These guys make money from people buying their course. So they need to do stuff like that. That's marketing. That's genius. And we've always seen it. What's his guy's name? Vitality, Spaceality. What's his name? The Russian guy, the one that just got out of prison in the Philippines. He streaked the Super Bowl or something like that. He streaked a couple years ago. When you see these people online doing shit like that, they don't do it because it's fun. They do it because, how many millions of viewers were watching the fucking Super Bowl? How many followers you think FX Alex G got from doing that stupid shit? And out of those, just think about it. Just to put a random number out there, let's just put 1 million people were watching the Super Bowl. 1% of 1 million, all he needs is 1% of that million to go and click on his account and go be a supporter or go and buy his course. How much money did he just make off the Super Bowl? Like, how, yeah, that's crazy. So making money while being anonymous is the best, bro. You keep it private, you keep it pushing. $3,000 course. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, bro. So these guys are smart. Again, I'll always say it. Marketing, they're fucking geniuses, yo. They're geniuses. They know exactly what they're doing. TJR, Lambo Raul, Alex G. These guys are fucking geniuses, man. 3K for 1 million person as well. That's fucking insane, man. All right, team. That's it for tonight. We'll be back again later. I'll let you guys know tomorrow morning if there's gonna be a trading session. Um, and if not, again, we'll just be back tomorrow night for the isolation session, and we'll continue this. Hope everyone has a good rest of their night. Peace out. Good night, my brother. What are you doing?